we came to tell you about the power delivery, which will take them to flow, well-being, which lead them to love, making them reborn in the fullness of heart. Bows are provided for creating every one of you, masters, which are to enable the following internal intuition, one that brings her heart. His loving energetic center that keeps the flame of God, is interconnected energy to the energy of the creative source. To make contact with those energies that are in their sacred hearts, resume all its fullness and elevate their bodies' more subtle vibrational levels. They will also awaken the energy contained in their sacred DNA, making contact with His gifts and all information contained in their existential record. You are revered for leading this process. By allowing this process will be the blazing energy of their sacred gifts to all who call into your irradiation field. It is a powerful process of developing their being amidst the physical plane as well as the expansion of its soul and goodwill to all mankind. However, masters, so to manifest this process will need to release their density beings, they put in trust, allowing the flow in their lives. Know that this process of liberation is not always simple and smooth. Yes, it will challenge. Will bring to the show everything was saved, will expose their darker side so that the light can invade and treat it with love of creation. This process will shake off dust and the whole stored, all obsolete energy will be brought to the surface. It is as if they were in a large centrifuge that will separate each of its aspects so that they can treat them and integrate them back into the unit, however, cleanly and clearly. This process takes at heart your center of love that will bring them to the unity of purpose. Masters, you accept the density that stepped into. Their hearts were separate from other energy centers of their bodies. This process was part of their experience. So all your energy centers were disconnected, deprived of the loving energy of the heart. This energetic confusion had to balance. Their spirits could not be in completeness, as the various energies that surrounded them were isolated from the power of love, for their hearts were closed to energy integration. The sensation of separation has been brought by this process. Archangel Gabriel every time suffered from great confusion in the energy-dense environment that stepped into because, as explained by Master Serapis Bey, her energy centers were separated from the heart. The heart is his loving center, where the pure energy of love radiating their bodies from that center of love. For separation that could create an environment, their bodies, from their energy centers, they had to be separated. So your heart center did not communicate with the sexual energy, with speech, with intellect, with the power brought them flow and causing them to trust the mind, rationality at the expense of love that only the heart conducts. The speech was devoid of love. Decisions were made rationally, their driving was done through the ego and the levy. The mind led them to control, fear and the illusion of survival. This condition led them to undermine themselves and their siblings. The separation of their energy centers that leads to the sense of separation from themselves, has been the biggest obstacle they face in density. There has never been separation, but the environment they face, all your energy centers are separated from the heart. Love is no longer the center conductor of their beings. That is why so many acts of folly can be seen in the world. When love ceases to conduct and the mind begins to control, all the energy imbalances of their bodies manifest themselves in the outside world through greed, exacerbation of self, the unbalanced use of sexual energy, speech manipulative and offensive, the intellectual answers where wisdom is set aside. This imbalance without the measure of love that everything is conducted his world into chaos today see. But, beloved, your loving heart center resumes its prevalence in those times, and then all the divine essence that hold in their hearts is revived. When the love of your heart is the flame and unity with the other energy centers of their bodies, the immaculate plan of the Father will be displayed again. You have a sweet scent, loving by nature, as there is nothing in creation, which is not present the loving energy of the Father. He loves all his creation and therefore love is in everything and everyone. But to close the heart and separate its energy centers, their being come to again seek the source, love, that is its essence. Have run into, so, with the pure energy devoid of balance that only love heart says. This process allows that the imbalances brought about by the ego manifest according to the accumulation or power lock on one or more of its centers. The lack of love and isolation heart blinds and opens opportunity to commit follies. His loving heart will be unifying to other energetic centers, where sexual energy is unified to love. Speech becomes loving and intellect leads them to think in a loving solution and new. The ego is controlled because their hearts will be to filter your mind with love. Everything is in love unity, because their centers are in unity. This process will lead to the rise, putting them through the love of balance, the development of mastery, the irradiation of peace and healing to all their bodies. More than that, love is to release all the information and energy contained in their sacred DNA. You will be returning to the fullness through the irradiation of love in their bodies. Archangelina Hope. This process will release their souls, will bring into manifestation the divine essence. You will become gods in physicality, to the fullest extent of the word. Will be free. At this point, there is no restriction or illusion, it will be love in exhibition from their sacred hearts. Love will shine wherever they are and even where not imagined they are. Will be love in the domain of their bodies and souls. This is your primary condition, which only left so that they could enter this separation game. The separation of their energy centers was the factor that allowed Vivanciasm all this illusion. This is the time, then returning to give effect to its center loving heart, and remembering the listen at all. He will not always take the most comfortable way. Not always understand from the mind, but it will always lead to well-being. There will be times that will question and say, "For it brought my heart?" But only he knows best where their darkness, they need cleaning, but will only do so if confronted with these aspects. Since listen, he will do this work in the show and clear your density to return to wholeness. The mind will question them, but over time has no more to hear because without they know it, will be in a wonderful flow, where everything will flow into your life, where aid overtake them with grace and ease, where you will be you without the ropes and tricks that requires them to mind in an attempt to protection. Will be that moment of absolute surrender to the flow of love, where setting will provide them everything, absolutely everything, because it will resonate with all that is in communion purposes. We are Gabriel and Hope and radiate your world with the flame that will rise to assist them in this magnificent recognition process when they are surrendered to the heart because he will be there to guide them to return the path to fulfillment. With love. Serapis Bay, Gabriel and Hope.